Do you love all the Stan Kroenke stuff? Do you ever get sick of it all? I know the answer to that's probably no. I'm just wondering if there's one person, sports fan at St. Louis, is just like burned out on it. Like, in other words, like let's just get the thing to trial and then we'll see what happens and then we can celebrate later. But every time I express an opinion along those lines where I just wonder about it, you know, because of course we're all rooting for St. Louis, right?
Yeah, I don't think you get good for Stan. No.
But it's like, but you know, and I understand the interest level in it, but I wonder if anybody ever reaches a point of like, okay, yeah, all right, we get it. It's St. Louis keeps moving the ball. That's great. Yay, hooray, go team. But can any of you media people tell us when there's something's going to be resolved? You know, well, no. Yeah, but the NFL's they're trembling. They're trembling. And I don't know if they're trembling. They're sweating, though. And let me repeat it again, because I do not want to be, like, in effect, have authority show up and say you can't live in the city anymore. You know, I'm absolutely rooting for St. Louis very, very hard. What I don't do is treat this as to the cliche. I don't view this as like something that is as serious as a heart attack. I think it's serious. And I'd like to see St. Louis get some justice, and like to see them get as much money, our community and surrounding counties and everything else, to get as much money as you can. Sure, I root for that. Not letting it control my life, though. I haven't done that. Took a vow on that from the beginning. And I had some guy, you know, kind of making fun of me because I've been mentioning it here and there. It's just like, oh, see, now you're, yeah, see, now you're itched it up. See, yeah. Yeah, because this is, now I am, and you know why? Because, number one, St. Louis continues to win all these judgments, and the judge keeps telling the NFL to get out. Okay, that's got my attention, as it should. Number two, you've got, and we'll get to this in a second, you've got Stan Kroenke now fighting his fellow owners and trying to get out of a legal commitment. And so, yeah, that's really interesting and, frankly, very entertaining. And it kind of shows the chaos that this lawsuit has thrown the NFL into. So, yeah. And then the third thing is if there's going to be a trial, it's right around the corner. It's in January. So, yeah, old Bernie would just, you know, instead of, you know, having just raising my blood pressure prematurely over all this stuff, I wanted to wait till it got more interesting, a lot interesting, and it's a lot interesting. So, sure. My friends, it's like watching a sporting event. Like, you know, it's something that's probably going to come down to the fourth quarter, and you sit there, and it's kind of like, all right, everybody's trying to move the ball. There's a stop here. Somebody gets a first down, and it's like, you know, and then it's like, oh, man, it's all, you know, the first quarter's over already. And then it's like, okay, it starts again, the whole thing. You know, it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. And by the time you get to the fourth quarter, and I think we're getting close, right? Or if not, we're not in it already. Yeah. All right. Now it's go time. Let's go. This is the exciting part. Not real hard to understand. So, there's some media people who just like building their whole lives and careers on this. It's just like, whatever, do it. That's cool with me. But I'm just saying, I don't have to be Pavlov's dog on this. I pick my spots on it when I think it's really interesting. And of course, I want the home team to win. I didn't realize this was the Soviet Union. That if you even just say like, well, I don't, you know, right now, let's just wait, you know, and this thing's still going to go on a long time. There's going to be an appeals process. It's just like, you're disloyal. No, I'm not. No, not at all. This is a sporting event, and it's also like a kind of a marathon. That's now we're down the road, and now it's like, okay, finishing kick. Let's see what everybody's got, right? That's kind of where I am.
I'm hopeful we're getting to a resolution. That's the big thing for me. I'm almost tired of the debates over, well, he said this. What does that mean? No, this happened. What does that mean? Let's get to a resolution. It's gone on long enough for me. I'm losing interest myself in terms of, you know, well, this one said that. And then we get another person who is not from the area who knows about law and says, well, it could mean this and it could mean that. Right, and then And again, I respect everybody working on it, but there is a point where you go,
yeah, I do too.
You don't say anything different than the other person or anything new that we don't know.
Right.
Let's get to the nuts and bolts of let's get to a decision.
Right.
And it could go into, a long trial period. That's fine, but let's get to that point. Let's get something moving.
And we're getting close. And that's why I'm more into it now. So that very simple reason.
No, that makes total sense.
And you too.
Uh-huh.
And, and I think, for example, the Post-Dispatch overall has done a terrific job reporting this story. And there's been minimal huffing and puffing and, trying to mislead people about expansion teams and all this stuff. And I admire Ben Frederickson, a columnist at the Post-Dispatch. But first of all, he's done really good reporting on the story, and it's been even-handed. Clearly he's getting good info from the local legal team, and that's good. And he's also putting in the legwork.
Yeah.
So he gets good information, but he also interprets the information correctly, and he interprets for his audience correctly, and he informs them without unnecessarily playing them like, hey, you can see it now. It's going to be an expansion team. He could milk a guy like that with a platform, because I had that Post-Dispatch platform for decades. You can really be inauthentic if you want, and just like, okay, well, what's going to get the most clicks? How can I stir it up, right? Mm-hmm. He doesn't do that, and I really respect it. So I want people to know how much I respect that, because sometimes when I refer to media people, they think I'm taking shots at like that guy or no, not at all. And I just made that perfectly clear. Mm-hmm. But as for the news of the day.
Yes, news of the day.
And congrats to Ben Fisher of Sports Business Journal, which my old friend Daniel Kaplan used to always break NFL stuff here. But anyway, there's a little bit of a convoluted story, and if you haven't heard about it, here we go. I'll do the best I can to assimilate it. According to Ben Fisher, the Sports Business Journal, Stan Kroenke is, in effect, warning the NFL that he plans to try to cut his own deal with the St. Louis plaintiffs. That would be us, who are suing that league. And so then, if the theory goes, Kroenke cuts his own deal with St. Louis, which, by the way, the only problem I have with the way this story's been kind of reported or disseminated, and I'm talking about this specifically.
Right.
It's almost as if, from a national standpoint, the person writing this, and he did a great job of the story, so I shouldn't be petty or picky. But it's almost as like, well, Stan's going to cut his own deal. Well, to cut his own deal, don't the plaintiffs have to agree to settle it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's part of it.
This isn't like some automatic thing, right? Like who? Well, why is there seems to be an assumption that, like, well, he's going to cut his own deal? I thought both sides had to agree to that.
Too rare to take this one.
So
to the finale.
If he did cut his own deal, right?
Yes.
Then the lawsuit stemming from the corrupt relocation process, then it goes to trial. And then the rest of the league is left holding the bag because Stan and his attorney say, well, he settled his part of this. His time, he's done. He did his part. And then that'll leave the other owners, irate and nervous, and then there'll be more lawsuits. Everybody's going to be just lawsuits flying back and forth, and that's what I like about this, because these lawyers representing St. Louis, they ain't gonna cut Stan no breaks. They ain't gonna be, oh yeah, Stan, you're under so much duress. Yeah, that'll be fine. Here, let me sign your offer. Are there really toads out there that think that it's as easy as that? I think there are, not in our town. So I like the fact that there's going to be this internecine warfare between Kroenke and the owners. And I want people to understand what I'm saying here. So he's saying, I have the right to make my own deal with St. Louis. And then I have the right to make that deal. And then you know what? Then the NFL and all these you're on your own. You're going to have to stand trial. I don't have to stand trial because I made a deal. I cut a deal. The plaintiffs are fine with me because we signed off on a settlement. Now, they got problems with how you handled the relocation. So now you're going to have to deal with this, and you're the ones got to pick up the cost. You're the ones that are going to have to take the hit. So I love that. Listen, I love that. And please understand, because anything that's even faintly, vaguely perceived as like praise of Stan Kroenke, again, I think people will show up at my house and take me away in the middle of the night. That's how nuts it is around here with this stuff. But I like the fact, I don't like Kroenke, I hate Kroenke, but I like the fact that he's trying to stick it to the owners, because after all, Jim, right? We know Kroenke is corrupt. We know that Kroenke will do anything to make money, and doesn't matter how far lengths he'll have to go to do what's best for him. We know that the process was corrupt, and, but Kroenke is a scorpion. It's like that old story, about the scorpion. It's, let me help you across the river. And then, carries the frog, or let me take you across the desert, carries the frog or whatever. And then he kills the frog, and as the frog's dying, so why did you do that? Well, I'm a damn scorpion. What did you think was going to happen? So, it's something like that. I like the fact that Kroenke is, trying to put his stingers into his fellow's owner. He's trying to make their lives miserable. He's trying to make them be left holding the bag on what could be, huge damages, right? Financial damages. Yeah. Because after all, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, the owners went along with this. They knew. That's why they were at first prepared to vote for the Carson plan, right, and reject the L.A. plan. And then Jerry Jones, muscled everybody. And then Roger Goodell helped Jerry start muscling the owners, and the owners caved. They voted for this. They didn't have to vote for this. They voted for it. So you know what? You were an accomplice. You aided and abetted someone that was doing something that was wrong legally and otherwise. You were a party to it. You were a part of it. You voted for it. You approved it. So you know what? Kroenke's now treating his fellow owners the way he treated people here in St. Louis, where it's just he ignored the quality of the team. He set things up to benefit in his own way, and he was going to cut and run as soon as he got a chance to do it. And he was going to renege on all the things that he said about wanting to keep the team here and faking that he's mad that people would even think he was going to move the team. So now he's doing it to his fellow owners. It's like you can't believe a word he says. And you have to understand, I didn't understand. I'll be honest about this. I didn't understand it. I was naive because I thought when a man tells you and he's hollering on the phone because he's mad that you even think he would move the Rams out of St. Louis, you say, well, you know what? He's pretty passionate about this. Okay, give him the benefit of the doubt. Stupid. Now his owners are finding out the same thing. Stan's always going to do what's best for Stan, especially when it comes to finances. So you know what? He signed those papers saying, so of course I'm going to indemnify you, and you don't have to worry about paying the cost of the damages, right? Oh, of course. Well, yeah, let me sign. Sure. That's fair. Well, now, just like as he cut and run in St. Louis and all his vows and his pledges and his lion little puppy dog Demoff, just as he cut and run from St. Louis, he's trying to cut and run from the deal that he made with the NFL and the owners. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that they now know these people that aided, abetted, and enabled this barracuda who can't be trusted for anything, that they're now getting a little bit of an idea of why we're so ticked off in St. Louis. And I love the story about how they were ticked off when, the Seth Wickersham story, how he let them know that, hey, why do you think I'm not going to pay for all this? Well, you signed, I'm not going to pay for all this. And they were all furious, they were all spitting anger and everything. Well, you kind of understand why we're so pissed off about this stuff. Do you get it now? You're wondering, like, well, why are those people in St. Louis so angry? Now you know, don't you? You were just as stupid as some of us, but acting like you could trust this guy, right?
You're getting what you...
Right.
You're getting what we do.
Got no empathy for them.
Yeah.
I like the fact, I don't like Kroenke, but I like the fact that Kroenke has now turned his poisonous methods, he's turned that on his partners, right? And now they're, in a way, going through exactly what we went through. And now I think they probably understood, A, this guy's no good. B, this guy's only out for himself. C, this guy will screw anybody, anything to make money. And they're not going to say it publicly. The last thing on the list would be, what he did was, now we get it. If we didn't get it before, we get it now. We understand how wrong this was, how wrong he was, what he did to St. Louis, because now we're seeing who he is. Well, number one, you should have known who he was. Number two, you voted for this. So once you voted for it, you own the problem. The problem, like I'm talking about within the NFL, you own Stan Kroenke and everything related to this. You owned it. You signed off for this too. You can't cut and run like he did. He's coming after you now. And you deal with it. You squirm. You sweat. Now, I like the fact that these owners who voted it in, because after all, Kroenke couldn't have done it on his own. He might have tried to sue had they not voted for him, but that would have been tied up for a long time. But anyway, I like the fact that the people that went along with this and gave the ultimate approval to this, and even though they violated their own relocation guidelines, I love the fact now these NFL owners, the NFL office, they're squirming on two ends. Now they got to squirm because Kroenke's trying to put his stingers in, right? And they're squirming, of course, because of the legal matters here in St. Louis. So they're getting exactly what they deserve. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. I love it.
That is true. You know what I would want to take it another step further. I want to see the return, and the return is somehow, some way, the league going all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We just found a whole bunch of correspondence and emails that took place over this matter.
There you go.
And watch them go at one another.
Oh,
right?
Like I said, man, this is awesome. I mean, again, I'm using metaphors, but they're going to be gnawing on each other's legs before this is all over. I mean, they're actually going to be trying to chew on each other, right?
That'll be great.
And it's just, I just have this vision in my head, these people in there, Kroenke, like, trying to chew on Bob Kraft's leg and, grown men shrieking. I just let them eat each other alive. I don't care, right? Now, Mike Florio is really good at Pro Football Talk NBC from the standpoint that he is actually a lawyer, and he breaks this stuff down really well.
Right.
And I give him credit. Now, when he starts pumping up the expansion thing, to me, and I've known Mike a long time, in fact, I'd have him on radio shows and all this other stuff long before anyone in this market even knew who he was. We go back forever. So I like him. But I also know, hey, man, he's trying to run a website. And if he can reach a pretty sizable Midwest market and just like with his, hey, expansion team. Hey, I'm hearing expansion team. Everyone here takes the bait. Everyone talks about it. It's great content for radio shows. Now, and that's okay. He's doing his job. Seriously, he's doing his job. But he's really smart about interpreting like kind of the legal aspects of this. So with that said, he's saying that Kroenke is saying that he reserves the right to make this own deal and then force the rest of the league to stand trial without him. It arguably makes little sense from the perspective of the plaintiffs for them to make a deal. And he's right. Mm-hmm. Let's not assume that St. Louis is going to agree to Stan's little pittance of an offer, right? Although a payment from Kroenke could serve as a useful bird in hand, the settlement would impact the dynamics of the remaining case. The league would aggressively argue, for example, this is all Mike Florio, that the St. Louis plaintiffs have gotten their justice from the man who moved the team. So what are you looking at us for?
Yeah.
See, Kroenke made good. And while other owners allegedly lied, according to Florio, cheated and or stole to facilitate the move, a settlement by the owner of the team that moved the team out of St. Louis goes a long way, creating the impression that the case is or should be over. Also, as Florio writes, Kroenke can't simply avoid his potential indemnity obligation to his partners by settling the case as to his team. Although the language of the indemnity agreement leaves much to be desired, the fight doesn't evaporate if Kroenke settles. Thus, he could still end up responsible for the full settlement or judgment. This is the other part, and then I'll stop reading. But again, I would rather read Florio's legal take on this because he can explain it better than I can. So Florio says, it's now clear, however, and this is the part I like, that Kroenke is ready to fight his business partners. For example, the email from Kroenke's representatives to the NFL reportedly argues that indemnification is not available for intentional torts and punitive damages. This suggests that Kroenke plans to sue over the indemnity provision, circumventing the language that places the commissioner in charge of determining the cost to be paid by Kroenke. Likewise, the argument seems more than a little confusing in this context, as Florio writes. If Kroenke committed fraud along with the other owners, how can Kroenke then say he's not responsible for the full costs arising from the fraudulent activities? So, again, all this is, they're going to be trying to, legally speaking, chew each other's faces off. And hallelujah is all I got to say.
Yeah, let them go.
Right?
Yep.
Now, that should be, in my opinion, the overall reaction here in St. Louis, just to laugh at these fools, watch them squirm, watch them sweat, watch them fight, watch them try to tear each other up, and just to think that this great legal team in St. Louis made all this possible. I like that. It's fun. And the real fun will start if this thing goes to trial. We're not there yet. So that's my take on this. And just remember, right now, this thing's moving into a new stage that I find the most interesting stage in them all. Because when you have a bunch of fake gangsters in a room thinking that they run the world, they can dictate everything, and then they turn on each other, outstanding. Outstanding.
Sounds like a great movie.
It is.
Plot, doesn't it?
I mean, this is like NFL Scarface going down here, right?
Yes.
It is.
No doubt.
So I just wanted to try my best to put it into context and have some fun with it. And if someone, I mean this sincerely, God love everybody, but if you can't at least enjoy and laugh at this stuff right now, this part of it, then I don't know what to tell you. You're taking everything way too seriously. You should rejoice and laugh the fact that NFL Scarface, the battle has begun. Right?
I like it.
So one of them guys is going to walk in there with looking like Al Pacino or something,